Welcome to story time. Okay, so just to explain what this is supposed to be. So over all those years of my life, which is now 40 years old, I experienced a lot of cool stuff, and some of it left some memorabilia that I then collected and kept over the years. Obviously a lot got lost, but the stuff that I kept, when I was living in the Isle of Man, I put everything on a cork board in my kitchen. I called it the memory wall, and it was always quite fun when I had friends over and just, you know, when we went and just like looked at all the things that I'd collected, all the stories that came with it. And then when I left the Isle of Man and became a nomad again, I just couldn't take all that stuff, right? So what I did is I ceremoniously took everything down. That's the video that you saw. So that was like 2016, so it's like 3 years ago. That's how long it took me to finally do something with it. And then I looked at each single item, you know, reminiscent a little bit just for myself, then took a picture of it and threw it away. So that was like a little bit of a ceremony for me. And then I thought someday I'm going to take these pictures of these memories and record some videos and tell you the stories around that. So that time is now. Story time. Okay, so I'm right now in Seattle. So I was thinking first to talk to you about my connection with music and rock music and where I was with Kurt Cobain but I just decided, no, I'm going to start with a story I want to tell first. And because I just don't have anything physical from my fanhood of Nirvana and what happened there. So I'm going to talk to you first today about this picture. So it's nothing special, right? It's just me in a garden drinking a cider. That's it. But there's a lot to it. It was taken in 2005, and it was basically after I left Germany. It was exactly after I left Germany to, I don't know, travel the world. Because a digital nomad didn't exist back then, right? But my plan was to leave Germany, go to England, go to Ireland, go to America, go to Canada, go to Australia, go to New Zealand, and so go to all these different countries and always find jobs in each one. So I wasn't thinking of how to make money online because there was no real, there was online, but it wasn't like something you would think you could make money with. So the plan was to go place to place and find actual jobs. So a very non-risky kind of way of leaving your home country and traveling the world. So at the time, I had a farewell party. So I did the same as I did now. So that was the first time I became a minimalist. So I gave everything away I owned. I had like a raffle at my leaving party where the rest of the things went. And the leaving party had the theme or the motto, first I take Great Britain, then I take the world. And so that's what I did. So the first stop after I left Germany was England. So I went to England, and I did that in a, again, very non-risky kind of way. There was a thing called Work Experience UK. So I did that, and it meant that they're going to give me, they vouched basically to find me jobs for the course of a year. I don't think it was actually limited to a year, but it cost like 700 euros, I think, at the time, so that they guarantee me jobs for 1 year. So that was pretty awesome. So I paid that. I flew over and I made my way to a little town in England called Ulster. It's actually spelled Alcester, so it's very confusing when you get there as a German tourist. And so that's where the headquarters was. The company was called Helping Hands, and what they did mainly was so that agency placed me with Helping Hands. So the agency itself was in London, and there could have been all kinds of jobs coming out of this, but they put me into this Helping Hands thing, and that was basically a company helping with live-in care. So any person that needs assistance at home would get a live-in carer. And I would have a salary, and I wouldn't have to pay for food or accommodation. So it was a very good way of starting this. The only thing is, I'm not a carer, right? I never learned that. So I only got like a week of training with some basics, how to treat disabled or elderly people, and some of the things that we should do and when to get in touch to get help, etc., etc. So it was like 1 week living in a hostel at that office. So basically the office with the hostel on it, and yeah, getting this training in order to be placed with some person that needs care, right? After that, I did go to a couple of jobs, but the permanent one in the end ended up in a tiny village. It was so small, they didn't even have a pub. So that's special for England. And I was staying there for a whole year. So that's what it came out of. So in this picture, to get back to it, this was, I don't think it was the first picture, I'm not sure. It might have been the first picture. This is in Ulster, in England, was it Warwickshire? I think it's in Warwickshire, which is spelled Warwickshire. So in Warwickshire and Ulster. And there was a pub, and I was a big fan of Strongbow cider, because that was something I always drank in the Irish pubs in Hanover and Hildesheim in Germany, where I was living before. So it was for me this moment of going to that pub, ordering a Strongbow, and I remember, I don't even know who took that picture. I feel like it was like some random person. It was for me like this moment, okay, I did it. I left Germany and I'm in England now. And it was a very strange moment, and it was the realization that I've done it now and I don't want to go back to Germany. The look in my face is a little funny because, I mean, I look tired, slightly scared, but content. I think that's like the facial expressions that I'm having there in this picture. What also happened in this place, it's not in the picture, but I ordered my very first and last steak pie, because it was horrible, and it was again a realization that English food is terrible, and the meat in that steak pie was boiled, right? So it tasted like cat food, basically. It was horrible. So I ate like 3 bites and then I just gave up on it. So right there in 2005, I got turned off English food. I mean, I had been to England before, but I never had this kind of moment of horror before. So this was the special moment, and this picture, I always kept it. You see there's like the little dot where I had the pin in. I kept this for many, many years because, you know, back then, I mean, I think this was taken with a digital camera, but I still printed a lot of the pictures. Sort of, that's what you did. So I think this picture sort of somehow traveled with me since like 2005 or a little later. So it's quite funny. And that's it. So it was basically my first promotion to freedom when I just left Germany to go out on my own and do my own thing. And England was the very first stop. That's the story behind this picture and why I kept it and why it was important. Because it doesn't look very special, but it had a lot of meaning for me at the time. So that's why I kept it. Right, that concludes story time. Episode 1. So I'm hoping to record a lot of them. I have a lot of those pictures. And then if I run out of pictures, as I said, I have stories without physical proof as well. And I'm absolutely happy to tell those as well. Let me know what you think about this. This is a little more shorter format. It is low production value because I will just whip out the camera and tell a story. Let me know what you think about this, if you want to hear some more stories, if this is boring, or some suggestions on how I can improve this format. So see you next time for the next story time.